Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming to you guys with a video counting down my top 5 TV shows from this year in 2021. Alright, so we've reached the end of 2021, which means it's time to make some of these countdown videos and kind of look back on the year in TV here on the channel. So far I should have my top 10 performances video, and then maybe before this or maybe after, but my top 10 episodes of the year as well. And then, of course, this one being my top 5 TV shows. So, these are kind of the 3 that I've done in the past. And so I thought I'd just keep that going. I won't be doing a worst of the year just because I honestly don't tend to check out many things that I know I'm not going to like or that really don't seem like my kind of show or something that I would be interested in that I'm going to enjoy. And there wasn't that many disappointments this year either. And that's kind of where that can kind of come in, is where I thought a show would be good and it just wasn't, right? It didn't work for me. And so, yeah, there was just really wasn't that many disappointments. Weren't that many disappointments this year. And so, yeah, I just didn't feel the need to do a worse list. So that's what it is. But anyways, so yeah, this one, really enjoyed putting this together. I really enjoyed doing the top 5. I know I probably could do a top 10, but I just really like doing the 5, and of course a couple honorable mentions that I have as well. And just really highlighting the best of the best, and that's kind of what I'm going for here with this list, at least from the shows I watched this year, of course. But love to hear your guys' thoughts on this year in TV. What were some of your favorites? And like I said, even though I'm not doing a worst TV shows of the year list, I'd love to hear some of your guys' thoughts on what are some of the worst shows you checked out. Whatever you're kind of, want to share, either your top or worst or both of the year, that would be great. And of course, kind of what were your general thoughts on just the year as a whole, especially compared to last year. I thought this year was quite a bit better than some of the stuff we got last year. I did feel like the beginning of it though was a little rocky, but then we got into about May and things really picked up, and I think we got back in a groove here. With some real, quality TV, that was available. So those are just kind of my thoughts, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and discuss this year. Really great, and I love just kind of doing these videos because it kind of gives me a chance and to obviously discuss with you guys and to kind of look back on the year as a kind of whole. Really enjoy it. So and speaking of which, if you enjoy the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Would really appreciate that. But yeah, so without any further ado, let's get into this one. So we got 5, top TV shows, and then I got 3 honorable mentions that are in no particular order. So in total, I got 8 shows. The 5 are in order, but these first 3 honorable mentions are not in order there. So just going to be kind of just random order here for the honorable mentions. So, all right. So, without any further ado, let's get to the first honorable mention of 2021 for my best TV shows, and it is Yellow Jackets season 1 on Showtime. This one is a very late, came out very late. I believe, was it November or beginning of December? Yeah, I think November sometime, kind of mid-November. And I don't think I've talked about this one on the channel yet. It might actually be the only one that I haven't talked about yet. And I will be talking about it in my monthly recap, and I might do a review for the season and all that stuff. So, I don't want to share, kind of all of my thoughts. And the season actually isn't done yet. So that also kind of adds maybe a little more confidence, or maybe kind of says something more that I'm putting it on this list and it hasn't even ended yet. So I do want to kind of reserve my thoughts if the finale is, really disappointing or something like that. Maybe this falls out of the list, but the main thing that it really doesn't matter whether the finale comes through or the last couple episodes are, at the same level, is the uniqueness of this show and just the original story that they're telling here. I just really... And this was a bit of a surprise to me, too, because I checked this one out, and I heard some good things, right? But it wasn't, I wasn't like really excited for it. I saw Melanie Linsky, who's one of the stars in this one, and I really enjoyed her in Castle Rock a couple years ago and some other things. Juliette Lewis is also in it from Christmas Vacation and a ton of other stuff, an Oscar-nominated actress. And then we have some other actresses in there, like Sophie Thatcher, who I've seen in kind of a sci-fi indie movie, and she was great. So some of these cast members I recognized, and I thought, it has some potential. This is kind of interesting. So I thought I would check it out, and I am really glad I did. So this one, kind of Lord of the Flies ish. So they have a plane crash, and it's these teenage girls. But it's not just the plane crash and that, which we've seen before. But it's also, half of the show is that, and the other half is them as adults after they've been rescued, 25 years later, and them kind of coping with that trauma. And then, of course, there's kind of another story going on there. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's another story kind of going on in that timeline as well. So it's just really this unique take on kind of a familiar thing, this kind of survival series. And I think we've seen some comparisons to Lost and that kind of thing. And I just really, really enjoy it. It's the writing. No, it's not, a masterpiece. I think there are some cliches and that kind of thing. But I do really feel like they kind of escape the cliches most of the time, I want to say, especially with it's the younger timeline, right? So it's the timeline where they are in the forest and after the plane crash and all that, with the younger girls, the teenagers. That I feel like is really strong, just some really original writing, and again, kind of bending those cliches where you think, oh, yep, this is gonna happen. And it doesn't. They actually go a completely different way and kind of switch things up and keep it fresh. So I just really enjoyed that aspect. The adult version, I would say, is a little bit less good, I guess, or not as good at bending those cliches. We do see a few of those in there. But I do feel like the acting in the adult one is obviously going to be a little bit better because we have some older, more experienced actors. And they are really, really great. Really great. So, and Melanie Linsky for sure kind of leads that, and she's great. Christina Ricci as well is in this one. I don't want to forget to mention her. So, anyways, really enjoy this one. And my last kind of thing I want to say about this is that it is so intriguing. I did binge the first few episodes to kind of catch up to it being live because I was a little late to this one, and it is so captivating, so intriguing. There's so many twists, but it's not really just for the sake of a twist, right? It's not just, oh, here's a cliffhanger for the episode, so you tune in next week. They really do feel authentic, and it is really, really captivating, and you just really want to see the next episode right away. So I can't say that about a lot of shows. I'm just not really into that kind of thing with binging and the Netflix shows and all that. I really do enjoy week-to-week shows. But this one is an anomaly in that sense. I really enjoyed binging the first few episodes, and now every week I want to tune in as soon as the episode's available. So really got to give credit to Yellow Jackets on Showtime, and I definitely recommend that as well. And definitely stay tuned on the channel for more of my overall thoughts with how the season finishes up. All right, so the next honorable mention here is Reservation Dogs, Season 1. I think it's on FX on Hulu, or Hulu, whatever. So this one, I would say, again, I guess pleasantly surprised, but going into it, I saw Taika Waititi's name attached. Of course, now I know that he's not that involved with the show, but at the time, saw Taika Waititi's name attached. Just looked like a really kind of interesting concept. Of course, exploring kind of a world and characters that don't really get explored that much, and especially not in a comedy like this. And so just a really kind of interesting premise, but I would still say I was pleasantly surprised by this. I didn't have really high expectations going into it, but they were definitely surpassed. This one was really, really funny. Some of the most laughs I've had this year, I would say, from any show. Especially a couple episodes, they really, really nailed. I think a couple episodes, and you'll see, a couple of those. I guess probably both of them in my top 10 episodes video for that for sure. But anyways, yeah, I felt like the second half of the season though did lag a little bit, especially that with that finale. I thought was a little lackluster, given the kind of build up to that and what they could have done with that finale. I felt like it was just a little bit unfinished. But having said that, it has been renewed, of course, and I really am looking forward to a season 2. And I think if they really, polish things up a little bit and kind of nail that tone between the, hilarious comedy and also the kind of emotional drama that we get with these characters and kind of from their backstory. I don't want to spoil anything again, but just their backstory and what had happened to their friend in the past. That really was kind of, the basis for a lot of the emotion and drama in the show. That was very grounded, right? I just feel like they could really polish up that tone between the drama and the comedy and, really kind of get up to the next level here and being one of the best shows on the air. I really do believe it has that potential. And I think the writing is really fresh and really original. And I really like a lot of the comedy. So, yeah, really just impressed with this one. And like I said, I think the first half's a little stronger. And that's probably the only reason why it's not, in a top 5 for me. But really looking forward to season 2 after this one. And yeah, some of the best moments of the year for me definitely came from this show. Yeah, especially some of the episodes here, just hilarious and super memorable. So yeah, can't recommend that one of course as well. Can't recommend that enough. So yeah, really great stuff there with Reservation Dogs season 1. All right. So my last honorable mention then before we get into the top 5 is Resident Alien Season 1 on Sci-Fi. So this one, I could really say I was very surprised by. I wasn't sure what I was getting into here. I think it was like beginning of February, and the only thing that, I was at all interested in or that anybody was really talking about up to that point in the year was Your Honor, really, with Bryan Cranston on Showtime, which you'll not see in this list, that's for sure. Disappointing. So anyways, coming off of that, I saw Resident Alien, I looked at the trailer actually, and I thought, okay, I laughed a couple times, kind of thought it was okay. So I did check out the pilot for it, and I thought at the time, I'm like, okay, probably just watch the pilot and kind of take off after that. I'm not sure if I'll check it out, but I'm really glad I checked out this pilot, and I was really pleasantly surprised by it. Of course, there is some network writing in there. There's going to be some tropes and that kind of thing, but I feel like at least for some of the episodes in this season, they really went above those cliches and those tropes of kind of network TV and that kind of thing. And this, again, was one of the funniest shows on TV. And like Reservation Dogs, a couple episodes here were just really, really great. Really great. And I feel like, again, as I said, Reservation Dogs, a season 2 of this show, I think has so much potential, and I think if they really nail that tone and they know what they're going for here, especially after they have some reactions from the audience after season 1, man, I am really, really excited for season 2, and it'll be coming in just about a month now or something like that. So really looking forward to Resident Alien season 2 after this one, but this one is just really great. Alan Tudyk steals the show. It would just not work without his performance and his commitment to this role. Some of the physical comedy that he does in this one is simply unmatched on TV, and you'll see him in my best performances of the year. Yeah, that was a no-brainer. It's just amazing, and just his different accents and his voices that he puts on acting as this alien. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious stuff. And I do feel like some of the drama does land. I think some of it actually does work quite well. Again, exploring some kind of unique areas here that aren't always explored with Asta, right? Exploring kind of the Native American heritage and that kind of thing that plays into kind of the environment where the show takes place, Patience, Colorado, and it is based off a comic book, but I've heard it's kind of loosely based off of that, and so kind of getting those elements in and kind of creating their own. I think they did a really good job balancing that. And kind of expanding the story, and but again, kind of keeping that environment consistent throughout the entire season. So yeah, and kind of a cliffhanger at the end of season 1. So definitely looking forward to what we might see in season 2. But yeah, again, just kind of a show that looked kind of tropey, that looked kind of just a cliche, but it really, thanks down to Tudyk's performance, I would say, mainly, and some of the kind of unique writing and kind of some of the stuff they explored in this one, it really traversed some of those cliches and really kind of brought it above that. And yeah, definitely one of my best shows of the year, and I just had a really good experience with this one. Again, being really the only new show out at the time that was on the air, and I was really excited to check it out each week and tune in. So yeah, can't say enough about this one. It was really, really great. Alice Wetterlund, I want to also recognize. Corey Reynolds. Yeah, we just had some really great performances here by the cast. Yeah, really looking forward to what they will do in season 2. But anyways, that'll just about do it then for my honorable mentions. So now let's get into the top 5. Alright, so at number 5 to start off this list is going to be Heels Season 1 on Starz. So this one, I would say, is the second best drama that I checked out this year. This one was really great. And again, like a lot of these shows, I'm realizing now that they were a bit surprising to me. A lot of the shows that are on this list, a couple of them I knew that were going to be kind of what they were. But this one, I'm not a wrestling fan, and kind of the opposite, I would say. I really didn't have much of a respect for wrestling, and I knew it was kind of fake and that whole thing. So I guess you could say kind of the typical, I guess, a view of wrestling from somebody who's not a fan and who doesn't really know what it's all about. And so I was a bit skeptical going into this one, right? And I feel like a lot of people are, because it's a show about wrestling, but it really is so much more than that, and that's what I really loved about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of that wrestling stuff in there, and again, from someone who wasn't a fan going into the show, I really do have kind of a newfound respect for wrestling and kind of the whole behind the scenes of it and how it really is this creative avenue, especially for, Jack in the show, played by Stephen Amell, of course, our main character, and him crafting the stories and these characters. And so that's just something I really connected to, especially with my, kind of interest in movie making and TVs and how all this goes, how the creativity kind of goes into that. That's something that I never even really thought of when I thought of wrestling. So really just having that newfound respect for that and really developing that as the show went on. And I just felt like it was a really authentic look at it, because they could have just had this show with big wrestling matches and this kind of action-oriented thing. But it was so much more than that. It went so much deeper, and again, kind of explored the creativity behind that and what actually goes into wrestling. And, of course, how these stories and these characters affect the real lives of the performers, of the people in the ring. And, in the ring during these matches and in front of the big audiences. So, just a really pleasantly surprising kind of look at this world, and just really, really impressed by it. The cast is great. I mentioned Stephen Amell, Alexander Ludwig, really, really great stuff from him. Chris Bauer, I think, gave the best supporting performance of the year. He was just phenomenal, and his commitment to that character was just really impressive to watch. So can't say enough about him. And then Mary McCormack, Kelly Berglund, Allison Luff, just some really great performances all the way around from this ensemble cast. Just a really, really a great show, and I do really enjoy kind of the way that this finale and just the season as a whole feels like a complete arc. It really does. And we are getting a season 2, which is really great. The ratings for this one weren't that amazing, to kind of put it lightly. They were pretty bad, but somehow Starz has renewed this for a second season, which is great. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of what they explore in that one. But I will say, if it didn't get renewed, I think this would be kind of a satisfying 8-episode run where it really was tied up, really satisfying in the way they kind of tied it up and the way that ended. So now I do have a couple problems with it. I think there are a little bit of, kind of cliche, kind of tropey elements to it. And especially the ending with the finale, I didn't enjoy that much, especially the one specific kind of twist about it. I didn't love. I thought they could have developed that a little bit further, kind of went in a different direction. Don't want to spoil anything, of course. So yeah, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. And again, a lot of people I saw kind of talking about melodrama with this show. And that's one of the things I said in my review, if you want to take a look at that for more of my thoughts, of course. But I said, yeah, it is melodrama, but I don't have a problem with the melodrama because it captures it so well, how this wrestling world and how these interactions are literally everything for these characters, right? So, you know, you have this wrestling match and something big happens in it, and it literally is like the end of the world. That's how they depict it in the show, but that really is how it is for these characters. And so that's, again, something that I really loved and something that, you know, really felt authentic to the show. And so, you know, what a lot of people's kind of not, you know, biggest complaint about the show is to me one of the biggest positives. So anyways, that's just me. I was really high on the show, really enjoyed watching it. And again, pleasantly surprised, as you'll probably hear for a lot of these. So anyways, there we go. At number 5 is Heels Season 1 on Stars. All right, so next at number 4, we have The Northwater. And this one was, I believe, on AMC Plus, but it's kind of a collaboration there with BBC America, I believe, or BBC just in general. So it depends on where you are, you know, that this one would be on. But wow, this one was quite a ride, this mini-series. So obviously going into it, the Terror comparisons were all over the place, right? So the Terror Season 1, probably one of my favorite, I guess you could call it a mini-series or seasons of TV, I guess, of all time. It was just a really powerful show and really, really memorable to me. And so, you know, of course, another show about the Arctic and this, you know, exploration. It's another, you know, mini-series on AMC. So the comparisons were all over the place going into this one. And so I thought, okay, I got to check this out, right? I got to check it out. So, of course, the two main, you know, actors, I guess, here are Jack O'Connell and Colin Farrell. Now, these are both guys that I really enjoy. I think they're really great actors. I mean, Jack O'Connell coming off of Godless, the last thing I saw him in. Colin Farrell, True Detective Season 2, and of course a ton of other things that I really enjoy him in. And both really come through in their performances here. What an insane kind of ride this one took us on. And it really does kind of come through on all its promises, I would say. Whatever this kind of show looks like to you, is exactly what you'll get, right? It's very dark at times. It really does kind of go there. You do see a lot of the kind of survival and the Arctic elements that you see in the Terror, but not as much with, of course, the Terror kind of took the supernatural or kind of mythical approach to things. This one, less so, a lot less so. This one does feel a little bit more grounded, and, you know, again, it is based off a book as well. So, you know, obviously, if you've read the book or you know about the book, you'll kind of know what to expect. But it is this kind of, you know, really dark and really kind of grounded story, whereas the Terror is a little bit more kind of into the kind of supernatural realm. But, yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much because, you know, it's, yeah, you really kind of got to watch it and kind of go along with the ride. But yeah, just really dark, really gory kind of stuff, with them trying to survive out in the Arctic. And of course, the whole thing is really based on that they have this plan, or the secret plan, the captain, to sink the ship, right? And I don't want to spoil too much, but that's kind of, you know, the premise of it in the first episode, to sink the ship. And of course, the crew doesn't know about that, especially, you know, Jack O'Connell's character, the main character in this one. And so it just kind of goes down from there, as you can imagine. And yeah, some of the best directing of the year. I know I haven't watched all the shows and all that stuff, but man, this literally felt like a movie every single week. And I think a lot of the episodes were like hour 5, hour 10 minutes. So it really, you know, almost could have been a movie. The directing and the cinematography here is simply, it's cinematic. It's just on another level that I have not seen anywhere else on TV this year. And one thing I did kind of see when I was watching this one was I thought, okay, and again, to compare with the Terror was really great, did a great job on it. But at times you did kind of feel like, okay, that was probably visual effects. It didn't seem exactly like they were, out in the wilderness or the snow was blowing and all that kind of thing. This one, it felt like they were actually there on an ice cap. Those kind of things, and just the shots of everything felt so real. Turns out, yeah, it was real. And I did kind of look into this, and it might actually have set history for being, I believe it's the most, I guess the most northern kind of shoot of any kind of film or TV series. I believe it was in the north of Norway, I want to say, where they actually shot this on location. So crazy kind of commitment from these cast and crew to even go there and do that. And it really paid off with how it looks here visually. And I think the performances obviously really captured that as well. So Andrew Haig is the one who wrote and directed all episodes of this one. Can't wait to see what he does next. He absolutely nailed this one. Really great. I do have a couple problems with the finale, though. That's probably the only reason that this isn't higher and isn't the best limited series of the year for me. But man, again, really, really great show, and I really do recommend it. It's quite a ride, but it's well worth it in the end. All right, so next at number 3, we have What We Do in the Shadows, Season 3 on FX. So this has been one of my favorite comedies on TV for a couple years now, right? With Season 1 and Season 2. And I think Season 2 was really fantastic. Season 1 was great. They had some really great moments in there. But Season 2 I felt like was just a little bit better, a little bit at that kind of next level. For comedies on TV. And Season 3, while I don't think it was on the same level as Season 2, I thought some of these episodes and some moments in this season were just amazing. Again, one of the funniest shows that I watched this year, if not the funniest. When this show was really firing on all cylinders, to me, it's the best comedy on the air. It's just so great, and it's so unique as well. It's kind of this high concept, but not really, right? High concept comedy, but not really. With these, vampires, living in Staten Island, and I love the mythology of it, right? And they kind of bring in the werewolves, and they do experiment with some things this season, and kind of throwing in some new monsters or new kind of things like that, in this kind of vampire world. And so I just love the way that they play with these kind of things and make them into kind of a comedic beat that kind of feels it's funny, but it also is just really intriguing and really kind of interesting to watch some of these creatures that you've heard of, and that for them to incorporate them in the way that they do just turns out to be really, really funny and really entertaining. So yeah, Season 3 overall, just a really great job by this cast, as always. Kayvon Novak, Harvey Guillen, Mark Proksch, Matt Berry, and Natasia Dimitriou. Just a stellar job by those 5, this kind of ensemble cast. Just fantastic. All of them are so good, and the chemistry now between all of them, it just feels so effortless for them to kind of play off each other. And I'm sure a lot of the improv kind of happens, and it just flows so well with this. So really great job. Again, I do feel like it was a bit of a step down from Season 2, especially the later half of the season. I would say, out of the 10 episodes, episode 5, 6, and 7, I would say, it was a bit of a lull for those. I mean, obviously I still laughed out loud a few times and really kind of enjoyed myself. But those episodes were a little bit worse than what I've kind of expected from the show. But having said all that, I still think this season is one of the best that I've watched this year, obviously. And one episode in particular, which is episode 4, titled The Casino, which you'll definitely see on my top 10 episodes list. It'll be pretty high on there. This to me was one of the best episodes of the year. This was so funny. And again, what I kind of talked about is that when this fires on all cylinders, it is amazing. And I feel like that episode really did, with the direction, the writing, and the just performances from the cast, them being on location, kind of switching things up a little bit with that. Wow. So funny, so good, and a little bit of kind of that heartwarming stuff in there as well, where you get, and I feel like they're really at their best when they have a little bit of that in there, when it's a little bit emotional and you have that connection to those characters a little bit more. And I feel like that's where this it really kind of gets to that next level when it's at that point. So really great job for what we do in the shadows, and that specific episode there to me is maybe the best of the series. It's definitely up there with episodes from previous seasons. Just a fantastic job, and the finale of this one really, at least it looks like, kind of shakes things up for the future seasons, or at least for next season at the beginning of it. And so I'm really looking forward to that and kind of seeing where they take this one. And I'm really hoping that they don't kind of just brush it away. I really hope that they run with it for a little bit in season 4, and so we can kind of switch things up, get a little bit of different locations, put these characters in some different situations than we're used to. And I really trust the writers. I think the comedy is going to be really, really great. And I think just having those opportunities to switch things up in a comedy, keep it fresh, I'm really excited for that. So really looking forward for season 4 and season 3, one of the best of the year for me. All right, so at number 2, next up on the list is Mayor of Easttown, the limited series on HBO. This one was, again, a little bit surprising, because going into this one, I thought, okay, we've kind of seen this before. Right, especially just a couple years ago, we had the Sharp Objects miniseries on HBO, which, by the way, I think is still a little bit better than Mayor of Easttown. But that one, a very similar kind of approach. We had Amy Adams, another kind of Oscar, actress, that kind of level of acting, I guess, coming to TV, doing this miniseries on HBO. It was about a detective kind of returning to her small town, and the case ends up being a little bit closer to home than you would have thought. That kind of thing. So very similar kind of concept to this one, approach to it. And I was thinking, okay, I'll definitely check it out, but I'm just a little worried that it's just going to be kind of retracing a lot of these similar tropes. But I have to say, it didn't fully kind of, go beyond that. I still think Sharp Objects is a little bit better. However, it really did impress me, this one. It really was a lot better than what I was expecting. The dark kind of places that this one goes and is willing to go as well. It's not just that they kind of bring up these dark things and explore these kind of themes just for the sake of exploring them. I feel like Brad Inglesby, the writer of this one, of all 7 episodes, just has such a great knack for exploring these themes with such authenticity. And I feel like, again, maybe that's the performances as well, especially Kate Winslet. Man, this is one of the best performances I've ever seen on TV. I will say that. Just phenomenal. All the way through. So committed, that with her accent even, and just everything. It's just it must have been such a hard performance for her. Again, with all these kind of darker themes. Wow, just such commitment there by Kate Winslet, where, again, she could have just phoned that in. She's coming to a TV show. She probably got a lot of money. She could have just phoned it in. But, man, did she commit to this. And she pulled off one of the best performances, again, that I've ever seen on TV. Really excellent stuff. So the performances, again, but I feel like that writing, and especially the directing from Craig Zobel as well, just really authentic look at this small town environment, these types of people and these characters, and these dark themes, again, where they went, and it didn't feel like they were just doing it for the sake of doing it. So I do really want to kind of commend them on that, and again, I think that's one of the biggest positives for me of the show, where I was kind of worried that it would just be kind of cliche and all that kind of thing, but no, this one really felt unique. It felt fresh in that way, and just really authentic to what they were trying to explore here. So again, at the time this show came out, talking about kind of experiences this year, this was easily one of my best kind of experiences or times that I had watching a show this year. At the time this came out, this was really the only kind of big show that I was watching and that everybody was talking about. I think this is probably the first show in over 6 months, I would say, at the time it came out, that everybody was talking about every week on Sunday nights, watching this one and theorizing and all this stuff. And so, again, I think that really goes into my enjoyment of it as well, and just being a part of that, and obviously watching every week and just being so intrigued by this one. And again, something similar that I've said with a couple other of these shows is I'm not really into the whole binging and the Netflix shows and that kind of thing anymore. Used to be, but just not anymore. It's not really my thing. But this one, I was so looking forward to the episode that night. I would, on Sunday, I remember the last couple episodes here, episode 6 and 7 and the finale, it was like counting down the hours until the episode was on. And I can't remember doing that for another show in quite a while. So just such an experience for this one. And I think, again, that really goes into how high this is on my list for this year. Just such an enjoyable experience. And just such an intriguing story. And again, exploring these kind of themes that are not explored all the time, and really going into this one. And getting some of the best performances of the year. Again, likes of Kate Winslet, Julianne Nicholson. So happy that she won the Emmy. I thought, no way, she's not a big enough name. They're not going to give it to her, but she easily gave the best performances of that crop that was at the Emmys, and she deserved that. So happy that she got it, because she was amazing in this series. Evan Peters was also really great in this more dramatic role that he was in. Guy Pearce, Joe Tippett as well. I feel like he's kind of underrated, playing John Ross in it. Just again, fantastic performances all the way around here in Mare of Easttown, and really brought it home for me. So yeah, number 2 on this list is Mare of Easttown, the limited series on HBO. All right, so at number 1, which was pretty easy, to be honest, was Succession, season 3 on HBO. Yeah, this is the best TV show of the year. It was the best show of the year in 2019 when season 2 came out, which in hindsight I think is probably one of the best seasons of TV that I've ever seen. It was just really, really excellent. I think they really nailed the tone between the comedy and the drama. And that really came together towards the end of season 1, I would say, or about halfway through, with I think it was season 1, episode 6 for Succession. Was kind of the turning point, at least for me, and I've seen a lot of other people kind of agree with that, was kind of, again, the comedy in that, the tone was a little kind of messy, I would say, or, not quite kind of fleshed out enough to kind of really be consistent throughout the entire season and now through the run of the show. But at that point, it really kind of found its footing, and it has not looked back since. This show, again, comedy, drama, just the pitch perfect balance between those two elements. One of the funniest shows I saw this year, easily, and also one of the most kind of emotional, dramatic, kind of compelling shows at the same time. So really can't say enough about that specific element of Succession, and I feel like no show does that quite as well as Succession does right now that's on the air. I don't see it. Better Call Saul to me is, closer on that level. With Succession to be kind of the kind of premium TV that we have right now. But I don't even think that show quite nails the comedy and the drama as well as Succession does. And they sure do this season as well. So, no, I don't think this season is as good as season 2. I think it does come up a little bit short. But let's be honest, that bar was set so high with season 2 that it was going to be very difficult for Jesse Armstrong and the writers and directors, everybody involved, to top that or even just match that, that kind of level that they had in season 2. I just felt like this season, the arcs for these characters and just the overall direction of the story didn't seem as clear or as polished as they did in season 2. But having said all that, the quality of the writing just overall is just, I don't want to say unmatched, because I think a couple shows are on this level, but just, easily some of the best writing on TV right now. Just stellar. Again, the comedy, the drama, picking up on these beats, and something, of course, that goes into that is the performances from this cast. Excellent ensemble of actors here. great performances all the way around. Strong, Cox, McFadyen, Braun, Culkin, Snook. I feel like even J. Smith Cameron playing Jerry took a step up this season. Alan Ruck. So it just goes on. And even some of the smaller supporting characters, even we got Alexander Skarsgård, Adrian Brody this season coming in and kind of doing some guest performances. Just amazing all the way around. And they just really have this chemistry between one another now that it's season 3 and they've been with each other and been able to kind of play off each other for a couple years now. It just feels so effortlessly. These scenes are so just effortlessly done together, and just fantastic stuff. And yeah, obviously some of the best moments of the year came from Succession, especially the first few episodes, the premiere, the second episode. Some of these moments are just amazing, so memorable, so funny, and again, having that kind of emotional side to them though as well, where you connect to these characters, and that's again, that kind of balance I feel like is when the show's at its strongest. So really great season overall though. Again, thought it was a little bit kind of lacking while compared to season 2, but still, again, one of the best shows on the air right now, and definitely one of the best seasons of the year. I think for anybody, I've seen it in a ton of people's lists, and it did come towards the end of the year as well. So it kind of was, to me, one that I knew would be here, but just kind of reinforced that as I was watching it towards the end of the year here, and wrapping things up, and it really did come through. So yeah, really looking forward to season 4. We'll see. Probably won't get that next year, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe 2023. But whenever it does come out, I'm really excited for that. We'll be definitely checking it out. And yeah, really can't wait to see where they take the show, where season 4 goes with some of the stuff they set up in that shocking finale again. They just keep nailing it with those finales. Jesse Armstrong and Mark Mylod, kind of the duo there, the directing and the writing. They haven't disappointed me yet with their finales. And this one was just was just great as well. So yeah, really looking forward to what the future holds for Succession. But for now, season 3 is number 1 of my best TV show of the year. Alright, so that'll just about do it for my list of my top 5 TV shows of the year, with a few honorable mentions in there, of course. So yeah, really enjoyed putting this list together. Some of these picks were harder than others. I would say, obviously, my number 1 with Succession was a pretty easy one to put in there. But yeah, some of these were a little hard. Of course, a lot of shows got left off. I think at least 20 shows that I watched this year got left off of this list. So yeah, just really enjoy putting this one together, kind of looking back on the year, and kind of trying to remember some of the shows and some of the best moments, which is always great to look back on. So, like I said off the top, love to hear your guys' thoughts on the year. What were some of your favorite shows of the year? And even again, I didn't really share any of my worst shows, but what were some of your worst shows, if you want to share those as well? Would love to hear from you guys. And of course, then the general kind of just thoughts of this year and how it went, versus what you were kind of expecting. Some shows maybe got moved and that kind of thing. Really like to hear from you guys on any or all of that stuff there and discuss. So yeah, 2022 is looking really, really crazy. A lot of really kind of big shows that have been in the works for quite a while, with Lord of the Rings, House of Dragon, just a lot of shows like that. Just are really big shows that are supposed to be coming in 2022. We'll have to see, but really looking forward to what's in store there. Yeah, can't wait. So really looking forward to that. And of course, hopefully the next year we can look back and be here again counting down my top shows. But anyways, for now, thank you guys so much for watching this one. Really enjoyed this one. And then, of course, stay tuned for my awards ceremony that'll be coming out shortly after this one. Really enjoyed putting that one together as well for you guys. Yeah, so look out for that one. But anyways, once again, thank you guys so much for watching this one, and we'll see you then in my next video.